Philadelphia News, team of my heart. Is the greatest rebounder in NBA history playing for the Sixers right now? In this video, we break down the bold claim made by one of the team's newest players. You'll hear all about how he's dominated the boards throughout his career, how his relentless hustle could change the Sixers' game this season, and why this statement has fans talking. If you're serious about Sixers news and want to know how this impact player could bring the team closer to a title, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and never miss another key moment in Sixers news. You know what it feels like when a player steps up, and you can sense that boldness, that unwavering confidence that makes you question everything you thought you knew. That's exactly what happened recently, and it shook the room. The moment those words left his mouth, you could feel the weight of what was just said. It wasn't a casual statement, it wasn't a humble brag, it was a declaration. A Sixers player, one you know and follow, has just made a claim that no one can ignore. A claim that could stir up the entire NBA conversation, leaving fans, analysts, and players buzzing. He didn't just claim to be among the best. No, he said something that would make anyone watching or listening stop in their tracks. Because when a player looks straight into the camera and confidently says he's the best to ever do something in the game, something that's as fundamental and critical as rebounding, it's not just bold. It's a challenge. A challenge to history, to the legends of the past, and even to the fans who hold those legends dear. You've seen this player. You know the impact he can have on a game, especially when it comes to cleaning the glass. There's no doubting that he's elite in that category. But the best, to say those words with such conviction, to plant that flag so high, you're probably asking yourself, what makes him believe that? Let's be honest, though. This player has the stats to back it up, no question. He's been a dominant force on the boards for years, consistently pulling down rebounds like it's second nature. Year after year, he's out there muscling for position, grabbing offensive and defensive rebounds as if the ball is a magnet drawn to him. He's got the numbers, no doubt, with more than 12 rebounds per game over 8 seasons in his career. That's no fluke, and that's not something just any player can do. But when you think about the history of the game, when you consider the legendary rebounders who have come before, it's a big statement. Names like Wilt, Russell, and Rodman pop up immediately in any conversation about rebounding. These are the giants of the game, whose records and reputations seem untouchable. And yet, here comes the Sixers player, boldly saying he belongs in that company. No, not just belongs, but that he stands above them all. You've got to wonder what kind of mindset it takes to say something like that. It's not just about skill, it's about belief. It's about the mentality of knowing your role on the court and owning it completely. For him to come to the Sixers and say this, it shows you he's not here to be a quiet contributor. He's here to make his mark. He's here to turn heads, to make people rethink the way they look at his game, and in doing so, make people rethink the way they look at the Sixers squad. Because for you, as a fan, this isn't just about one player making headlines. This is about what it means for the Sixers moving forward. You want a team that has that kind of swagger, that kind of hunger to dominate. And it's not just about Joel Embiid or Tyrese Maxey. It's about the whole roster coming together with this kind of confidence, this kind of fearlessness. You know that if this mindset spreads throughout the locker room, this team can go far. And with this new addition to the Sixers news, you're not just hearing talk. You're seeing action. This is the kind of player who doesn't just talk a big game, he plays one. He's been a relentless force on the boards, putting up impressive numbers year after year. Last season, he averaged 9 rebounds per game even while playing a supporting role. He's proven he can still bring that energy, that determination, and that grit, no matter where he's playing or who he's up against. So what does this mean for you, the Sixers fan? It means you've got a player who's coming into this season with something to prove. He's not just going to be standing in Joel Embiid's shadow. He's going to make sure his presence is felt, especially when it comes to securing those critical rebounds in close games. You know those moments when a rebound can make or break the flow of a game? That's where he's going to shine. That's where he's going to back up his words with action. But even as you think about how bold this statement is, there's a part of you that respects it. Because as a Sixers fan, you want players who aren't afraid to step up and make bold claims. You want a team that has that swagger, that belief in themselves that says they're not just here to compete, they're here to win. And you know that if this team is going to contend for a title, they need that kind of attitude from everyone, from the stars to the role players. This is your Sixers news, and it's just the beginning of what promises to be an exciting, dramatic season. There's no question that with players like this coming in with something to prove, you're going to see some headlines that'll keep you on the edge of your seat all year long. You're probably still thinking about that bold statement, right? It's not every day you hear a player step forward with such confidence, especially when it comes to a claim that could stir so many emotions across the NBA. But what really sets this apart is that it wasn't just talk for the sake of headlines. You know that when he said it, there was history backing him up, and that history? It's undeniable. You've watched him over the years. You've seen those games where he's dominated the paint like it was his personal territory, pulling down rebound after rebound while everyone else seemed stuck in slow motion. He's not the type to shy away from physicality, from putting his body on the line to make sure he's the one securing possession. And let's be real, you know that kind of energy can completely change the course of a game. Think back to those crucial moments when a team needed just one more possession, one more second chance to either secure a lead or make a comeback. He's been that guy, always in the right place, always ready to grab that ball when it matters most. His instincts are sharp, and you've seen him read plays like a book, positioning himself perfectly, almost like he's anticipating every miss before it even happens. But this is where it gets even more interesting. He's not just pulling down boards on one end, he's working both sides. Offensively, he's creating second chances that keep the team alive, and defensively, he's cutting off the opponent's opportunities to get back in the game. That kind of impact? It's something you can't ignore. And it's something the Sixers are going to need this season if they want to make a serious run. Now, you know there's more to being a top rebounder than just jumping higher than everyone else. It's about timing, it's about hustle, and it's about sheer willpower. This is a player who's built his reputation on doing the dirty work, the kind of stuff that doesn't always get noticed in the highlight reels but makes all the difference in the final score. And you've got to admit, having someone with that kind of mentality on the Sixers is exactly what you've been waiting for. You think about the way he's going to fit in with this roster. Sure, Joel Embiid is the main attraction, but having someone who can come in and take care of business when Embiid is off the floor? That's huge. And it's not just about filling in minutes, it's about keeping the intensity high, ensuring that there's no drop-off in physicality, no loss of dominance in the paint. With him on the floor, you know the Sixers are going to be a nightmare for opponents when it comes to controlling the glass. And don't forget, this isn't just about the numbers. It's about the attitude, the mindset he brings to the team. He's been in the league for over a decade, and in that time, he's learned how to make an impact, no matter the situation. Whether he's starting, coming off the bench, or playing spot minutes, he's always ready. That's the kind of veteran presence you can't put a price on. And you know the younger players are going to feed off that energy. What you're really looking at here is a player who understands his role. He's not trying to be the face of the franchise. He's not gunning for the spotlight. He's here to do the work, to fill the gaps, and to give the Sixers the kind of depth they've been searching for. You know that when he's on the floor, the Sixers aren't just holding their ground, they're pushing forward, controlling the tempo, and dictating the terms of the game. You've been watching Sixers news closely, and you know that this isn't the first time the team has tried to bring in a player like this. But there's something different about this one. There's a hunger there, a sense that he's got something to prove, not just to the league but to himself. And that's where things get exciting for you as a fan. Because when a player has that chip on their shoulder, when they're playing with that kind of fire, you know you're in for something special. So when you hear him say he's the best rebounder ever, maybe it doesn't sound so outlandish after all. Maybe it's just the kind of mentality you need to succeed at this level. You've seen him back it up before, and now, with the Sixers, he's got the chance to prove it on the biggest stage. You're probably wondering, who is this player? Did you already have a name in mind, or has this bold claim about being the best rebounder in NBA history left you guessing? Whoever you were thinking of, the statement still hits hard, doesn't it? You've seen a lot of players pull down big numbers on the glass, but for someone to come out and say they're the best, it's a whole different level. So, let me ask you, does the Sixers roster have someone you think could stand up and say that with confidence? Take a moment to think about it. Think about the way this player has built his career. He's not just here for a paycheck or to coast through games. He's someone who takes pride in every rebound, every possession, every moment on the court. You've seen that hunger before, right? That willingness to outwork anyone else on the floor to get the ball in his hands. And as a fan, you know that's exactly what the Sixers need to make a deep run this season. You've watched Sixers news closely, and if you've been paying attention, you've probably started to connect the dots. Rebounding isn't glamorous. It's not what gets the headlines or the highlight reels. But you know that it's what wins games. And having a player who's willing to put himself in the middle of the action, take the hits, and come out with the ball, well, that's what sets apart the contenders from the rest. It's about more than just stats, it's about impact. So, I've got to ask you, did you already know which player we're talking about? If you've been following Sixers news, maybe you had a good idea. Or maybe this whole conversation has made you rethink how you view rebounding and the players who excel at it. Either way, it's time to reveal the name behind the claim. It's none other than Andre Drummond. Yep, that Andre Drummond. The man who's been an absolute beast on the boards for over a decade, leading the NBA in rebounds multiple times and cementing himself as one of the best to ever play the position. When Drummond said, "I'm the best rebounder to ever play the game," it wasn't just talk. He's got the stats to back it up, and now, he's bringing that energy to the Sixers. So, here's the question, do you think Andre Drummond is right? Is he the best rebounder ever, or do you see someone else holding that title? Let me know what you think because this conversation is just getting started, and as a Sixers fan, your opinion matters. Drummond's claim has already sparked debates across the league, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out on the court this season. If you want to stay updated on everything happening with Andre Drummond, the Sixers, and the rest of this exciting season, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You won't want to miss a moment of Sixers news, and when you click that notification bell, you'll be the first to know when big moments like this happen. Whether it's bold statements, key matchups, or the inside scoop on the team, you'll be right in the middle of it all. So, go ahead, hit that subscribe button and stay connected to all the Sixers news that matters to you.